there will be a test of the level of enlightenment that this person thought that was inside of them. Work we do in isolation is not necessarily an indication of our state of enlightenment. But that's what I'm talking about today, guys. How have we been isolating from our own emotions, and how have we been isolating from others? Hey guys, this is Coach KP, and I'm here drinking my coffee. And when I'm drinking my coffee, I'm liable to go on a rant. So if this video goes on a tangent, and so be it, okay? So what I was thinking about today was social isolation, and how social isolation has become the buzzword in the last few months here in the United States, and also in the world. And what that got me to think was, we had been socially isolating long before the pandemic. Okay, we had been isolating from ourselves, our own feelings, emotions, and also from other people. So it's really interesting for me to see how now social distancing has been such a thing, but even prior to, way before the pandemic, we'd already been socially distancing, and socially distancing physically and emotionally from other people. So what I'm really saying with that is, when do we actually start to not distance ourselves from these things? When do we actually start to connect with ourselves, what's inside of us, and with other people? Because we can do a lot of work, personal growth work, whatever kind of work, in isolation for a long time, and we can think that we've gotten a perspective that's enlightened or empowered, but it's not until we cross that distance and really connect with people, we start to understand where we stand in this journey of life, right? It's very easy to socially and emotionally distance ourselves from ourselves and other people, and think that we've reached this perspective, and all it really is a bubble, right? I think when we start walking on this path of personal empowerment, it's very easy to get lost and to start thinking that just because we understand some of the concepts, just because we understand, for example, let's say the concept that we're all one, right? It's not the most difficult concept to grasp. Even from a mind perspective, it's not the most difficult concept to grasp. But what does it really mean, right? We are all one, but when we come into that relationship with somebody else, and it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, it can just be a relationship that one can have going to the grocery store with the clerk, right? So when we come to a relationship with someone, how is that dynamic playing out? And one of the biggest indicators of where we are emotionally is how we relate with other people, and how we allow other people to come into our lives, and how do we show up in their lives, and vice versa, right? So when we are in these relationships, what is happening to us? How are we reacting? Are we in a joyful, playful state? Are we able to be there? And are we able to respond to the challenges of life in a calm, and not necessarily calm as in emotionless state? Because a lot of us are in this confusion that calmness relates to emotional stoicness, right? It's not that, right? So if there is turbulence inside, and we are so fixated on being calm and stoic, That's just a mask, right? That's literally putting on a mask. So if a unpleasant emotion is arising, then let's feel it, right? Let's feel the unpleasantness. And if a happy emotion is arising, then let's laugh out loud, big belly laughs, right? That to me is better than being calm all the time. So this notion of being calm under stress, right? That's something I'm even challenging that. Like, do you always have to be calm under stress, or do you, whatever happens, you own your emotion, and the fact that you are feeling turbulent on the inside, that's a better way to go about things. As long as we don't blame other people for those emotions, as long as we don't blame outside circumstances for those emotions, it's okay to experience those emotions. So social isolating ourselves from our own emotions, and then isolating ourselves from other people. When we are starting to own our emotions, and when we are able to come into relationship with other people, where we don't blame them for our emotions, and we don't take on their emotional flooding if they are doing that, whether consciously or unconsciously, when we are able to say to ourselves that those emotions do not belong to me, then that's an enlightened state. That's a state where you're not worrying about enlightenment at that state, when we can get there on a steady basis. And that's hard, right? Let's face it, that's hard to do, because all of our lives we've been conditioned whether to placate other people or be calm, right? Be an adult, right? And that means remaining stoic under pressure, and not showing your emotions. And that's really silly. So having said all of that, and I know I went on a little bit of a rant, I'll blame it on the caffeine, even though I did say that we're not going to blame this on anything or anything external to us, but I am going to blame it on the caffeine. Why have we been hiding from coming into these relationships? Yes, relationships may not necessarily be a entity, if you want to call it that we can control, right? Whatever happens in that relationship, when you come into this dynamics where we are co-creating this relationship, even you watching this video, we are co-creating a relationship. We don't know what the outcome of this co-creation is going to be, and that's where beauty is. Not every relationship is going to be unfolding in a way that we desire it to unfold, and that's okay. But to avoid getting into that dynamic because we want to isolate is spiritual bypass. Like, I can sit on a throne somewhere and claim to be the most enlightened person. And if we look at the lives of enlightened beings such as Buddha, such as Jesus, Abraham, I don't know who else, Eckhart Tolle, all of these enlightened beings are eventually coming back to this social setting and getting into a relationship with us, with their disciples, with the society, at a workshop, right? So a lot of isolation work we do in isolation is not necessarily an indication of our state of enlightenment. Osho said this the best, right? In his book, The Secret of the Golden Flowers, he said, when we go into the mountains to meditate, and after living there for 5, 10, 15 years, if we feel that we are calm, that's not the calmness necessarily emanating from within our core. That is a borrowed calmness, and he makes a good analogy that now this person that has stayed 15 years in the Himalayas, when he goes to the market, there will be a test of the level of enlightenment that this person thought that was inside of them, right? So isolating ourselves socially, emotionally from ourselves and others is just spiritual bypass. And on top of that, claiming to be or thinking that we are better than other people. Soon as that thought comes into my mind, and God knows how many times I have to check that thought coming into my mind, I think every person that's going through this journey is facing that. The judgment, you realize you're being judgmental, and then you scale back, right? You are aware of your judgments, right? This is metacognition. You're watching yourself. You're constantly watching yourself, not beating yourself up for it, but you are watching yourself, and you're realizing that, hey, look, no, I'm doing that, but I don't need to do that. So that's how we free ourselves from social isolation. All right, so that's all I had to say today. I know I jumped from here to here. That's me. Thank you for watching. Coach KP, peace.